This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. When VinFast, the Vietnamese startup, hit the NASDAQ stock exchange in the US last week with a SPAC, it was headline news. After the first day of trading, VinFast market cap was $85 billion, compared to $48 billion for Ford and $46 billion for GM. Some called it an astonishing achievement. But like every other SPAC listing, it didn't last long. VinFast shares plummeted 58% from its high point over the last few days, wiping out $50 billion worth of market valuation. The company is now worth $35 billion. But we think it's going to drop even further. One reason for the seesaw stock price is that very little trading is going on, meaning not many people are buying or selling its shares. UAW President Fain continues to motivate union members to prepare for a strike against the Detroit 3 automakers. Over the weekend, he held a rally in suburban Detroit attended by hundreds of enthusiastic UAW members. Fain told them the automakers expect them to, quote, settle for scraps, and he promised that's going to end. Union workers are voting this week on whether to authorize a strike vote, and it's likely it will be overwhelmingly approved. We are now 24 days away from the current contract expiring, and it sure looks like there will be a strike. The Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, sure convinced the Hyundai Group to make big EV investments in the U.S. It's building an EV and battery assembly plant in Georgia that will make 6 electric models for Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis. Automotive News reports that 3 of those models will be for Genesis. The plant, which will be open in January of 2025, will have the capacity to make 300,000 vehicles a year on straight time, with the flexibility to boost that to 500,000, presumably with additional shifts. Hyundai and Kia are going to come out with midsize electric pickup trucks in late 2026, and they could also be made at the plant. Here's something that car companies don't want to see. There's a bidding war breaking out to buy the company U.S. Steel. What the OEMs don't like is that Cleveland-Cliffs, the largest automotive steel supplier in the U.S., is one of the companies trying to buy U.S. Steel. That would give Cleveland-Cliffs control of more than 50% of the automotive steel market in the U.S. Automakers already have a bit of a contentious relationship with Cleveland-Cliffs, and this merger would give them even less leverage in negotiations. Automakers aren't as concerned with other bids for U.S. Steel because there isn't as much overlap in the business as there is with Cleveland-Cliffs.
At Teijin Automotive Technologies, we combine world-class composite materials expertise with cutting-edge designs because, frankly, there are better ways to lightweight vehicles. So lighten up with Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
Pininfarina, the famous Italian design house that's now owned by Mahindra, unveiled 3 beautiful electric concept cars on the eve of the Pebble Beach concours. The B95 is a 2-seat roadster that will go into production in 2025, but you better have a hefty bank account. They're only going to make 10 of them. Each one will be customized so that not one of them is the same as the other, and they're going to be priced at 4.4 million euros, or about 4.8 million bucks. The Pura Vision is a 4-seater with suicide doors and a glass roof that partially opens like gull wings for easier entry and exit. And then there's the Pininfarina, named after the famous Grand Prix driver from the 1950s who was known to sing at the top of his lungs while racing. This car actually debuted at the Goodwood Festival of Speed last month, but we just wanted to slip in that reference to Farina's singing. And speaking of famous Italian brands, Lamborghini showed off a concept version of its first all-electric model called the Lanzador. It's a high-riding 2+2 coupe that marries elements of Lambo's current styling with all new lighting elements. With room for 2 more people behind the front seats, the roofline extends much further than your typical Lamborghini, but the rear axle has also been pushed back really far so it doesn't end up looking too goofy. Power will come from 2 electric motors that it says combines for more than 1,000 kilowatts or over 1,300 horsepower. However, Lambo didn't say anything about the battery or range. Other highlights include rear-wheel steering, as well as an active aero and suspension system. Front seat passengers have their own little cockpit area and each have a display screen embedded in the dash. The Lanzador, if that's even what it ends up being called, will become the 4th model in Lambo's lineup when it launches in 2028. Earlier this year, Chinese battery maker CATL introduced a new battery chemistry that it calls M3P. It has more energy density than lithium iron phosphate or LFP batteries, and it's cheaper than nickel manganese cobalt or NMC. And now we're learning more about its specs. Car News China reports that M3P is 20% cheaper than NMC cells. Compared to LFP, it's 10% more expensive, but the energy density is 20% higher and the cost per watt is 3% lower. And the battery pack is estimated to deliver 700 kilometers or 435 miles of range. The first vehicle to hit the market with the battery will be the Chery Luxeed S7. The upcoming Tesla Model 3 refresh, codenamed Highland, will use the battery, and Tesla is also testing it in the Model Y. Mercedes-AMG pulled the wraps off the 2nd-gen version of its GT Coupe. It features updated styling and performance, as well as all-wheel drive with rear-wheel steering and the option for 2+2 seating for the first time. But it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of room behind the front seats. Some of the other highlights of the AMG GT Coupe are a hybrid aluminum, steel, magnesium, and carbon fiber structure, active suspension and aero, and high-performance brakes. Power comes from a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that comes in 2 outputs and is mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. One version has 350 kilowatts or 476 horsepower and will do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.9 seconds, while the other has 439 kilowatts or 585 horsepower and will do 0 to 100 in 3.2 seconds. Here's a partnership that makes a lot of sense. Leno, a comedian known for pumping more power into many of the vehicles in his very impressive collection, and Dodge, a company known for pumping more power into every new special edition model that it comes out with, are coming together to offer a co-branded line of car care products. We're talking everything from car shampoo to tire shine and even drying towels. They say ordering information and pricing will come out in the 4th quarter of this year. But that brings us to the end of today's show. We appreciate you making Autoline part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. Scheffler, we pioneer motion. And by Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility. We want to know, what drives your testing? OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
At Scheffler, we pioneer motion. Electrifying mobility. Manufacturing smarter. Reducing CO2 emissions. Making energy production clean. Schaeffler pioneers motion to advance how the world moves.